I'm Peter First up in Katoomba, joined by local expert Pat from Camera House. We're going to discuss 5 tips for taking great landscape photographs. Now Pat, I guess the first thing I'd like to discuss is the importance of equipment. Can you tell us what kind of stuff should we be bringing on a shoot like this?
Yeah, so the advancements of camera technology recently is especially important for the upper mountain shooters, because we go on bushwalks, we go to distant trails and whatnot. So mirrorless technology has really taken off, and it's a lot lighter gear than what we're used to with DSLR cameras, especially with full frame sensors. So that's what I've actually taken with me today, a mirrorless camera, as well as wide angle lenses, which are very important to capture as much of the escarpment and the valleys as possible.
Yeah, so how do you use, what kind of wide angle lens do you think is best? Do you tend to go with like a 16 to 35 zoom, or do you use primes?
Yeah, so I mean, depending on your lighting conditions, some prime lenses are generally much better in low light conditions. So if you're in a low, an afternoon shot where you really need the aperture to bring the light from the valley, I generally will stick with a prime lens. But the zooms on these latest lenses, especially with the mirrorless technology, you can pull the shadows up in post-production and get a really nice shot.
Now, also drone photography has become a big thing out here. Have you ever taken a drone up in this area?
Yeah, no, drone photography is what I love. It's essential to a modern videographer or photographer, especially if they're working in professional work now. So having the diversity to shoot both video and photography out in these valleys and really get a different perspective on what you're looking at is a great tool.
And now that you're out of the city, light's always important, but the light's quite different when you're shooting in an environment like this. How important is, I guess there's 2 things I want to discuss here. The first one is using filters. You tend to incorporate filters on all your lenses?
Yeah, so depending on what shot you're using at the time and how your scene plays out, what we use here and what we recommend in the mountains at Katoomba Camera Store is neutral density filters. So generally the filters that we recommend for the horizontal line is a gradual neutral density filter, so that the top half of your filter is actually a tan piece of glass, which limits the amount of light coming through from the sky, and that gives you a really nice natural looking shot.
And then finally, it's also nice because we are away from the city, away from all that artificial light. It's great for astral photography in a place like this. So how important is it? Like, what are your tips for astral photography? Do you, obviously a tripod, is it important? What kind of lenses, how do you capture that best photograph here?
Yeah, so when you're in the mountains, you find you'll get a bit of wind like we have today actually. And what's important for astrophotography is that because you're doing such a long exposure, any jolting to the tripod or the camera will really affect the shot. So what we recommend at the camera store is a sturdy tripod as well as a shutter release cable, so that you don't actually have to physically touch the camera at all whilst you take the shot.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much for your time today.
Cool. All right, thank you.
Have a good day.